My name is Bella Lawson. I'm 32 years old, and until recently, I believed that if you built your life carefully enough, nothing truly collapsed without warning. I work as a logistics coordinator in Raleigh, North Carolina. My days are predictable in a way most people would probably find boring. Routes, schedules, warehouse calls, solving problems before they turn into bigger ones. I make around $74,000 a year. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. And I've always liked steady. That matters, because the man I was dating didn't. Marcus Hale was 28, charming in a way that didn't feel forced. The kind of man who didn't walk into a room, he settled into it like he had always belonged there. People didn't question Marcus. They adjusted around him. We had been together just under 3 years. At the beginning, I thought we balanced each other. I was calm, he was energy. I liked routines, he liked spontaneity. It felt healthy, like maybe we rounded each other out. But over time, I started noticing something I couldn't ignore. Marcus's version of spontaneity always seemed to come with a cost, and somehow I was always the one paying it. Last-minute trips that I had to rearrange my schedule for, last-minute plans with his friends that I had to accommodate, last-minute emotional swings that I had to absorb. And every time I asked for something simple, like notice or a plan or just consistency, he would laugh. "Bella," he'd say, smiling like I was the problem, "you're 32 going on 50. I should have listened more carefully to that." The breakup didn't happen after a big fight. It didn't happen after some dramatic betrayal. It happened on a Thursday night at a rooftop taco place in Durham. We had ordered drinks. Marcus barely touched his. He kept staring out over the parking lot like something out there mattered more than the conversation we weren't having. Then he said it. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." That sentence almost never leads anywhere good. I remember feeling it before I even understood it. That quiet shift in the air when something is about to end. Then he looked at me. "I'm too young to lock myself into one thing. I need to see what else is out there." Just like that. 3 years reduced to a curiosity. I didn't react right away. I just watched him, trying to understand whether he realized what he was actually saying. "Are you breaking up with me?" I asked. He shook his head slightly, like I had misunderstood him. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "I'm just saying, maybe I need space. Maybe I need to explore a little, and later, if it's meant to be, we could find our way back." That part told me everything. He didn't want to lose me. He just wanted the option to leave, without consequences. He wanted freedom, but he also wanted a safety net. He wanted to go out into the world and see what else was available, while still keeping me quietly waiting in the background. I think that was the moment something inside me went still. Not angry, not hurt. Just clear. I nodded once. "Then go." He blinked. Actually blinked, like I had missed a line in the script he thought we were following. "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means exactly what you said," I replied. "If you need to see what else is out there, you should go do that. I hope you find whatever you think you're missing." I reached into my bag, pulled out cash for my half of the bill, and placed it on the table. No speech, no raised voice. I stood up and left. That was it. And somehow, that quiet seemed to bother him more than anything else could have. He called me 3 times before I even made it back to my car. I didn't answer. Then came the text. "You're being cold. This is why communication with you is so hard." I was just trying to be honest. I read them once. Then I blocked him. That same night, I called the apartment complex we had been planning to move into together the following month. We had already put down a $700 holding deposit. My name was the primary one on the application. I told them the relationship was over, that I needed to withdraw. The deposit was non-refundable. Fine. An expensive lesson is still cheaper than the wrong life. The next morning, I blocked him everywhere else. Instagram, Facebook, even Venmo. I didn't feel like dealing with passive-aggressive requests or lingering connections disguised as convenience. I packed up the few things he had left at my place, a couple of shirts, chargers, a jacket he'd forgotten weeks earlier, small things that suddenly felt heavier than they should. I dropped the box off at the front desk of his apartment building without going upstairs. And then I went to work. I told myself that was the end of it. For about a month it was. Real silence. Not the kind where someone is posting sad quotes every few hours. Not the kind where you feel watched. Just nothing. And honestly, it felt like peace. But then the noise started creeping back in. Not from him directly. Not yet. From other people. A mutual friend mentioned Marcus had been posting a lot. Rooftop bars, weekend trips, group photos with women I had never seen before. Nothing scandalous. Just curated. Like a campaign. He wanted the world to see that he was thriving. That didn't bother me. What bothered me was something else. The questions. Not to me, about me. Had I started dating anyone? Was I still going to the same coffee shop? Was I still living at the same place? Did I still follow the same routines? Questions like that aren't random. They're mapping. I didn't change anything at first, but I did start moving differently. I signed up for a boxing class on Tuesday nights, not because I wanted to hit anyone, but because I needed somewhere to put the restless energy that came with realizing someone might still be watching your life from a distance. I enrolled in a certification course through NC State that I had been putting off for over a year. At work, I took on a bigger role, more responsibility, longer hours, but also more control. My life got quieter, cleaner, more mine. And then, almost exactly 6 months after that rooftop dinner, Marcus came back. It started with a text from an unknown number on a Saturday afternoon. "Hey, I think you should hear him out." No name, no explanation. Just that one sentence, sitting on my screen like it had the right to be there. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "No." The reply came almost immediately. "Wow, so you're really going to act like 3 years meant nothing?" That was how I knew it wasn't some neutral friend trying to help. Neutral people don't talk like that. Neutral people don't come in already offended on someone else's behalf. That was one of Marcus's people. I blocked the number. 2 days later, his older sister found me on LinkedIn. I'll give her this. There was something almost impressive about the effort. Most people use LinkedIn to look for jobs or pretend they enjoy leadership webinars. Olivia used it to meddle. Her message was polished in that particular way people get when they want to sound mature while crossing a boundary. She said Marcus had made a mistake, that he had been in a bad place, that he had grown in the last few months. She said sometimes adults talk things through instead of throwing a relationship away over pride. Pride. That word again. People love using it when a woman refuses to remain available after being disrespected. They dress up self-respect as stubbornness because it's easier than admitting the boundary is valid. I replied with one sentence. He left. I accepted it. That's the whole story. She never answered. Then the accidental run-ins began. Monday morning, Marcus was at the coffee shop near my office, the same one I had been going to for years. He turned just as I stepped inside and did this perfect performance of surprise, eyes widening, hand against his chest, that half laugh meant to make everything feel harmless. Bella? Wow, small world. I looked at him for exactly 1 second. Morning. Then I ordered my coffee. I could feel him watching me while I waited. He wanted discomfort. He wanted tension. He wanted some visible sign that he still had access to my nervous system. I gave him nothing. Thursday evening, he was at the Harris Teeter near my apartment. Again, surprise. Again, that soft smile, like we were two exes in a romantic comedy instead of two adults whose relationship had ended because one of them wanted options and assumed the other would wait. Okay, this is getting weird, he said lightly, stepping closer to my cart. Do we just keep appearing in each other's orbit now? I looked at the basket in his hand. 1 bottle of water, a pack of gum, nothing else. He hadn't come there to shop. I guess some people have more free time than others, I said. His smile tightened for half a second. Not enough for anyone else to notice. Enough for me. Then Saturday afternoon, I saw him at Quail Ridge Books, standing in the exact section I always checked first. He was holding a book upside down. That was the moment coincidence officially died. I remember standing there with my hand still resting on a shelf, feeling something cold settle into place inside me. Not fear exactly, recognition. He was building pressure, tiny appearances, carefully staged moments, just enough for plausible deniability, just enough to make me question whether I was overreacting if I called it what it was. I didn't confront him there. I didn't need to. When people are fishing for emotion, calm becomes a wall they can't climb. A week later, I came home from the gym and found him sitting on the floor outside my apartment door, wearing my old gray hoodie, the one I had left at his place months earlier and written off as gone. The image was too intentional to be anything except theater. His legs were stretched out in front of him. The sleeves swallowed his hands. His eyes were red, like he had either been crying or wanted credit for looking like he had been crying. He stood up slowly when he saw me, and for one suspended second, the whole hallway felt staged, like he expected music to swell behind him. "Can we please just talk like normal people?" he asked. I stopped about 10 feet away. And no, he looked like the word physically hit him. "Bella," he said, softer now, "come on, I know I messed up." I said nothing. He took 1 step toward me. I was stupid. I thought I wanted freedom, and all I really did was lose the best thing in my life. Still nothing. That was the part people never understand about silence. They think it's emptiness. It isn't. It's often the clearest answer in the room. He swallowed hard and tried again. "I miss you." I looked at the hoodie, then at him. "You shouldn't be here. He exhaled shakily, and for a moment he almost made it convincing. I didn't know how else to get you to listen. That line irritated me more than the tears, more than the performance, more than the fact that he was standing at my door like regret made him romantic, because it translated so cleanly. You blocked the ways I preferred to reach you, so I chose the one that would force you to deal with me. That's not love. That's entitlement with softer lighting. I'm not listening because I don't want to, I said. You made your choice. I accepted it. That should have been the end. His expression shifted, hurt first, then disbelief. So that's it? He asked. 3 years and that's it? No, I said quietly. 3 years, and then you told me you needed to see what else was out there. That was it. His jaw flexed. I could see him recalculating in real time, trying to figure out which version of himself might still work on me. Sad Marcus, honest Marcus, regretful Marcus, the man in my hoodie, sitting outside my door like he'd wandered out of a breakup montage. He took another breath. Is there someone else? There wasn't. Not then. But the question itself told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't about remorse. This was about possession, about whether the thing he had set down had been picked up by someone else before he came back for it. So I said yes. The lie left my mouth cleanly. I'm seeing someone, so this needs to stop. And there it was. The performance disappeared. It happened so fast it would have been easy to miss if I hadn't already learned to watch the spaces between his expressions. The softness drained out of his face. The sadness vanished. What surfaced underneath was sharp and immediate and ugly. Already? He said. I didn't answer. He laughed once, but there was no warmth in it. Wow, so that's what this is. Still, I said nothing. He stepped closer again, and this time I took out my phone. His eyes dropped to it. Are you serious? Yes. I started dialing building security. Something flashed across his face then. Anger, humiliation, disbelief that I would really do it, that I would choose procedure over emotion, distance over drama. He leaned in just enough for his voice to drop. You're unbelievable. I held his gaze and kept the phone to my ear. He hissed out a breath, turned, and stormed down the hallway before security even arrived. I stood there for a few seconds after he disappeared, my pulse steady in a way that surprised even me. Then I unlocked my door, went inside, and shut it behind me. That should have been enough. For a reasonable person, it would have been. But rejection is one thing. Rejection after someone expects you to wait around for them is something else entirely. That kind of rejection bruises the ego in a much more dangerous place. 3 days later, Marcus showed up at my office. Not a reception like a normal visitor, not with the hesitation of someone who understood he might not be welcome. He walked past the front desk and told the receptionist he was my boyfriend and needed to bring me something urgent. That was how he got far enough inside for me to see him. I was in a glass conference room reviewing freight numbers with my manager when I looked up and there he was, outside the door, holding a gift bag and smiling like we were in the middle of some grand reconciliation arc. For a second, I honestly couldn't move. Not because I was afraid, because the audacity of it was so total, it took my brain a moment to catch up. My manager followed my line of sight. Do you need to get that? She asked. I kept staring at Marcus through the glass. Then I said very evenly, no, that's my ex. Her eyes sharpened immediately. She looked at him again, then back at me. Understood. Security handled it. He left the gift bag behind. Inside was a leather-bound notebook I had once casually mentioned wanting in a bookstore months earlier. Tucked inside it was a handwritten card. You know, we're not really over. No signature needed. I photographed the card, the bag, the notebook, the timestamp from the office entry log. Then I took everything home and put it in a drawer. Not because I was sentimental, because by then something in me had started keeping records. And somewhere beneath the surface of all that fake tenderness, I could feel it. This wasn't over. It was changing shape. The next day, flowers arrived at my office. White roses, full arrangement. Expensive enough that whoever ordered them wanted it to be noticed. The receptionist brought them to my desk with a look that hovered somewhere between curiosity and concern. There's a card, she said gently. I nodded, already knowing. For my person, always, M. I didn't react right away. I just looked at the handwriting, at the careful curve of each letter like effort could rewrite reality. Then I took out my phone, snapped a photo, and set the arrangement aside. That was when my manager pulled me into her office. She didn't sound alarmed. She didn't sound judgmental. She just asked, is everything okay? And I told her the truth. That an ex I hadn't spoken to in months had started showing up in places he wasn't invited to. That I wasn't engaging. That I was documenting everything. She listened, nodded once and said, keep me updated. No drama, no pressure. Just support. I appreciated that more than I expected to. But Marcus wasn't done. Blocking him had stopped nothing. It had just forced him to get creative. First came the new social media accounts. A blank Instagram with no profile picture. Then another. Then a Facebook message from a name that didn't exist anywhere else. At first, the messages were vague. Some people throw away real love because they're scared. Then less vague. You think you can just replace someone like me? I blocked each account as it appeared. Then the comments started showing up under old photos on a public running club page I had joined months ago. Funny how some people pretend to be perfect when they're the reason things fall apart. Not subtle, not random. A mutual friend screenshotted one of his Instagram stories and sent it to me without saying anything. He didn't need to. The post said enough. A long paragraph about losing the love of his life because some women choose ego over forgiveness, about how real connections get destroyed by people who don't understand what they have until it's gone. I read it once. Then I saved it. Still nothing from me. No response, no correction, no defense, just documentation. And then he crossed a line that changed something inside me completely. He contacted my mother. I found out because she called me that evening, her voice already tight with something I recognized instantly, protectiveness. Why is this man in my messages acting like he still belongs here? That was the first thing she said. I closed my eyes for a second before answering. What did he say? He said he's worried about you, she replied. That you've been distant, that you're not yourself since the breakup. Bella, why does he sound like he's still in your life? I took a slow breath and told her everything. The coffee shop, the grocery store, the bookstore, the hallway, the office, the flowers, the fake accounts. She didn't interrupt me once. When I finished, there was a pause. Then she said very calmly, "Oh, absolutely not." I almost smiled. "I'll handle it," she added. "Mom." I said I'll handle it, and she did. Before I could even suggest what to say, she had already replied. Later that night, she read the message to me over the phone. "Bella managed just fine before you," she had written. "She'll manage just fine after you. Do not contact me again." Simple, clean, final. For a moment, I thought that might actually slow him down. I underestimated how far he was willing to go. That same night, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered without thinking. A woman's voice exploded through the speaker before I could even say hello. "How dare you humiliate my son like this?" Marcus's mother. Of course. I pulled the phone away from my ear slightly, letting her finish. She accused me of being cold, of refusing to have one simple conversation, of dragging things out and hurting him unnecessarily. That last part almost made me laugh. "I'm not dragging anything out," I said evenly. "I ended contact months ago. He keeps showing up." "He's trying to fix things," she snapped. "If you were a decent person, you would at least talk to him." I let that sit for a second. Then I said, "Ma'am, I don't want contact with Marcus anymore. Please tell him to stop." And I hung up. Then I blocked that number too. The next morning, I went to the police station. I didn't rush in. I didn't panic. I just brought everything I had been collecting. Screenshots, messages, photos of the flowers, the card, office entry logs, notes with timestamps, my building security footage of him sitting outside my door. All of it in one folder. The officer behind the desk flipped through it with a kind of quiet familiarity that told me this wasn't unusual. He nodded once. "Keep documenting," he said, "and don't respond to anything." I nodded back. That was exactly what I had been doing. A few days later, I got the voicemail. "Unknown number." 2 seconds of silence. Then Marcus's voice. Low, unsteady, too close. "I can see your car from here. We need to talk." I didn't replay it right away. I just sat there holding the phone, feeling something shift. Not fear, something colder. Because that sentence wasn't about emotion anymore. It was about proximity. About letting me know he could reach me whenever he wanted. That he was close enough to watch. That changed the rules. Around the same time, something unexpected happened. Something good. In my certification class, I had gotten to know someone. Daniel Carter, 34, works in procurement for a medical supply company. Quiet in a way that felt intentional, not empty. The kind of man who listened fully before speaking. No performance, no chaos, just steady. We started with coffee after class, then dinner, then actual dates. I told him everything before it got serious. Every detail. He didn't flinch. More importantly, he believed me. That mattered more than I expected it to. Because about a week later, Marcus saw us. Daniel and I were at a wine bar in North Hills. Nothing dramatic, just a Thursday night. Split appetizer, 2 glasses, conversation that didn't feel like it needed to prove anything. For the first time in months, I felt normal. Then Marcus walked in. wearing the same blue shirt he had worn on our last anniversary dinner. Of course he was. He stopped at the edge of our table. 3 seconds, just long enough for the tension to settle into the air around us. Then he smiled. You must be the replacement. Daniel didn't stand up. He didn't react the way Marcus expected. He just looked at him calmly. I'm Daniel, he said. Marcus let out a short laugh. Of course you are. I stood up. You need to leave. Marcus picked up his wine glass, swirling it slightly like he was considering something. Then, in one smooth, deliberate motion, he tilted it. Red wine spilled across Daniel's shoulder and down the side of the booth. For a second, everything went silent. That was the moment any doubt disappeared. This wasn't emotional anymore. This was intentional, calculated, public. The manager was there within seconds. Then security. Then police. Statements were taken. Cameras reviewed. Marcus was issued a formal trespass warning from the property. I watched it all happen with a kind of clarity that felt almost detached. Because at that point, the pattern was undeniable. This wasn't about heartbreak. It was about control. And control, when it starts slipping, tends to get louder before it disappears. The next morning, I called an attorney. And for the first time since that rooftop dinner, I stopped thinking about whether this would end on its own, and started making sure it would. Court was 3 weeks later. By then, my life had narrowed into 2 parallel tracks, one that still functioned normally on the surface and another that quietly collected everything underneath. Work, classes, evenings with Daniel, and then documentation. Screenshots, timestamps, printed messages, call logs, security stills, the wine bar incident report, my mother's message, the voicemail transcription. Everything organized, labeled, precise. It sat in a folder that had grown thick enough to feel heavier than paper should. When I walked into the courtroom that morning, I wasn't nervous. Not in the way people expect. There was no shaking, no racing thoughts. Just a steady awareness that this was the final step in something that should have ended 6 months ago, but didn't, because someone refused to accept that access had been revoked. Marcus was already there. For a second, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked softer. Cream-colored shirt, hair neatly styled, a small cross necklace resting against his collarbone like it had always been there. The kind of carefully curated appearance meant to signal humility, reflection, change. The version of himself he thought would be easier to forgive. He didn't look at me. Not once. His mother sat behind him, hands folded tightly in her lap. When her eyes flicked toward me, it was only for a second before she looked down again. We all took our places. When the hearing began, Marcus's lawyer spoke first. His tone was measured, controlled. He described Marcus as emotional, regretful, someone who had simply been trying to find closure after a meaningful relationship ended abruptly. He said my refusal to have a conversation had created confusion. Confusion. That word almost impressed me. The way it reframed repeated appearances, fake accounts, workplace disruptions, and surveillance into something softer, something almost reasonable. Then my attorney stood. He didn't raise his voice, didn't rush. He just started listing, one by one. Unwanted contact, repeated appearances, impersonation at my workplace, contacting family members, harassing messages, public disruption, escalation. Each point grounded in something tangible. Each claim backed by something I had quietly saved. Then he introduced the voicemail. The room shifted slightly when it played. 2 seconds of silence. Then Marcus's voice. I can see your car from here. We need to talk. The judge asked to hear it again. This time it landed harder, because it wasn't just what he said. It was how close it sounded, how certain, how entitled. The judge looked directly at Marcus. Did you leave this voicemail? His lawyer started to speak. The judge raised a hand. I'm asking him. Marcus hesitated. For a moment, I saw something flicker across his face. Calculation, maybe. The instinct to reshape the narrative one more time. Then he nodded. Yes. The word barely made it out. The judge leaned back slightly. Do you understand why someone might find that statement threatening? Marcus swallowed. I was upset, he said. I didn't mean... Being upset, the judge interrupted calmly, does not grant you the right to monitor someone's movements or make statements that imply you are doing so. There was a pause, a quiet one, the kind that doesn't need to be filled. Then the judge spoke again. Order granted. Just like that. 2 years. No contact. 500 feet away from me, my home, and my workplace. Clear. Enforceable. Final. When we stepped out into the hallway afterward, everything felt strangely normal. Like the world hadn't shifted at all, even though something significant had just closed. Marcus walked past me without looking up. His mother followed, her expression tight, her gaze fixed somewhere on the floor. Neither of them said a word. And for the first time since that rooftop dinner, neither did I. A month later, I heard through someone from our old circle that Marcus had lost his job. Not because of anything I did. I didn't call anyone. I didn't send anything. I didn't need to. Apparently, he had missed too many days. Let too much personal chaos bleed into his work. Made too many impulsive decisions that didn't stay contained. Consequences don't always arrive all at once. Sometimes they stack quietly. His social media shifted after that. Gone were the rooftop photos, the curated group shots, the easy confidence. In their place, quotes about healing, about being misunderstood, about surviving emotional damage, about toxic people. I saw one screenshot someone sent me. Then I stopped looking. People can say whatever they want online. Reality doesn't need captions. Daniel and I are still together. It's been 4 months now. We text each other without hesitation. We make plans that don't feel like negotiations. There's no performance, no unpredictability disguised as excitement. Just consistency, respect, calm. My apartment is quiet again. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty. Just peaceful. Last Sunday, my mom texted me after church. Thank God you didn't marry that man. I read it twice before replying. Honestly, same. The strange part is, I don't think of any of this as revenge, even though I know other people probably would. I didn't try to ruin him. I didn't expose him publicly. I didn't go after his job or his reputation. I didn't do anything except refuse to be available after he decided he wanted to explore other options. And when he came back angry that I hadn't waited, I didn't argue. I didn't perform. I didn't try to make him understand the damage. I just kept records, set boundaries, and let everything unfold exactly the way it needed to. That's the part people don't warn you about. Calm looks like weakness, right up until it becomes evidence. If there's a lesson in any of this, it's simple. When someone tells you they need to see what else is out there, believe them the first time. Don't volunteer to be the backup plan. Don't sit still while they test the world and expect you to stay loyal anyway. And if they come back angry that your life kept moving without them, don't argue. Don't explain. Just close the door and keep living.